7:33, and meeting to order. I have no guests. We could review the minutes from September. Does anybody need them? Yeah, I'm just printed. That's the one from
No,
September.
the agenda, sorry, thanks. Actually, it's not a good agenda, never mind.
You guys need to have agenda?
Oops, my bad.
Is there another hard copy of the minutes, Laura?
The holidays, Erin? I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. It says we will close to then be closed 3 consecutive days.
Where are you?
On our holidays, about halfway down the first page, maybe a little more.
Christmas, we were closed to then be closed. Okay. The plan is to close on Christmas and New Year's Eve.
Okay.
Right,
Meaning that
right.
we end up closed for 3 consecutive days.
Yeah.
Okay.
We will be, thank you, closed. Yeah, I'll completely reword that.
That doesn't violate any, blanking on the word, but I mean, being closed 3 consecutive days isn't gonna be a problem with compliance.
Like certification, no.
Right.
Thank you, Janet.
Mm-hmm.
Also, under the director's report, August and building, it wasn't, I mean, it was the water bill that was $600,
Not the irrigation.
not the,
system.
I mean, it was because the irrigation system was turned on.
Yeah, but I see
It's
what
not,
you're saying.
it kind of sounds like maybe it was repaired.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just changed irrigation to water. Is that sufficient, or do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah, the water bill, yeah.
Okay.
Here on the subcommittee, donations made in memory from applicants.
Oh, page 2, sorry. Donations.
Michael Shears is actually shares.
Yeah,
isn't it?
SHAIRS from that.
S-H-A-R.
AIRS.
Thank you.
You got an incomplete sentence under planning. Bottom of the second page.
We're also discussed.
Probably. I'm not sure, but that makes sense.
Anyone recall?
Uh,
I think we did discuss that.
Yeah, I think that's all it was just a
Yeah.
discussion because Pam was explaining that we don't have to go 5 years
Right.
away. So.
Under announcements, the trustee orientation in Groveland is November 14th, not October 14th.
We were just talking about that.
Janet, did you and Aaron meet
Yes.
You did.
Yeah,
Did you
sorry.
get my email?
I did get your email, and right before the meeting, I said I've got to email Jake, and yeah, obviously.
Well, I was totally spaced. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to or not, but, so sorry.
We didn't do a whole lot, we were just gonna review what Erin's been updating, so she'll give an update tonight. Did you burn photo on the shift, so you can
No,
wonder, right?
I'm watching it.
Okay. Anything else, any other changes on the minutes? Somebody make a motion to accept?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, director's report. Does anybody need a copy? I'll fix it before it gets filed.
So I'm going to kind of summarize the report for our viewing audience. Building issues, the carpet cleaning was done on October 5th. Thank you for those of you who came down and moved furniture. And I was talking with the floor guy, and he suggested having the grout cleaned in the tile floors. And I'm going to also ask him about waxing the staff room and the kitchen floors in here. The grout cleaning will be about $300 to $350, but it's never been done, so. And the HVAC maintenance for the fall was completed 9/14. They do a really thorough job. They're here like a whole day, checking electrical and belts and changing filters and making sure everything's working properly. Under staff, I received, this is actually an error, I received 4 applications for the 2 substitute page positions. I'm going to interview all of them, and those appointments are scheduled for this week and next. Circulation is down 1.67% from this September compared to last September. Patron visits are up 1.2%. Meeting room use remains heavy, I'll say. Upcoming programs, estate planning with Margot Burke, co-sponsored by the Council on Aging, had 50 enthusiastic attendees. Michelle, do you want to make a comment on that? She was here.
She, people just kept coming in, and at the end of it, like, no one would leave. They kept talking about how great it was, how great she presented. I had some flyers out that listed all of the seminars we had done in the series, and people were excited about those. The ones that they had missed asked us to do it again. So it might be worth talking about whether or not we do it again next year, or something smaller than that. But it was really an overwhelming success.
When is the recap of the rerun of the?
December 15th at 10 to 12.
Other programs, thank you, John, for representing the library at Rowley History Jeopardy. He did a very good job. And I don't know, has it made it onto cable access yet?
I'm just checking now.
Is that there? I think it just required some editing.
Yeah, we decided that.
Do you know when the Rowley Jeopardy is going to be on TV? Excuse me?
It's edited, it's ready to go.
Okay.
Gina just has to schedule it,
Okay, thanks.
so should be soon.
And the final, well, except for the encore presentation by Margot Burke, the 5th of our 5-part financial literacy series is October 8th. It's on 18th, which is this Thursday, and that is on year-end tax planning. And we started to move forward with planning the creative writing program that's going to be in honor of Ron Perkins' memory. We had a meeting, myself, Michelle, Amy, and a teacher from Triton, Margaret Flaherty, who teaches poetry. And the next step is to create a survey. It's made, it hasn't been quite released yet, asking the teens what they're writing and what they want to be writing. And also when is most convenient for workshops.
And what teams is that, how is that going out, at school or?
Yes.
Okay.
And it'll be, on our website and Facebook and
Yeah.
press release, etc. Other news, the new hardware was installed on September 28th and October 1st. All the staff computers were replaced and repurposed as public computers to replace the 4 oldest ones, which were 7 years old. And finally, the state aid financial and compliance forms were completed and mailed well before the 10/12 due date. And that is the second part of our big statistics that we report to the state. In the summer, we do the ARIS, which is about services, circulation, and holdings. And then in the fall, it's all the money as reported in incoming, outgoing. We make sure that we spend our 16% on materials. We report capital, operating, where it comes from and where it goes out.
Are there any questions on the director's report?
Pam, did the carpet cleaner recommend how frequently we should have rug cleaned? Once every 8 years? Whether it needs it or not.
Okay. Anyone motion to accept those?
So moved. I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Budget? Is there anything specific on there you want to point out, Pam, or?
There's nothing really out of the ordinary that I would like to mention. And certainly answer any questions.
Security monitoring, that's the yearly fee?
I'm sorry? Yes.
Security monitoring.
Yes. Yeah, that line that's zeroed out, that's because we just pay it once in the beginning of the year. And the other one that's a little lower than it should be given the time frame is the office supplies. We've spent half of our $1,000 allotted for office supplies. That is not actually true because we have a service contract on the copier. That's $425, and at the time that bill was due, there was not enough money in the revolving account to cover it. The revolving account is when people pay for their copies and printing and faxing, we build that up and buy the supplies out of it. So I just need to tell Sue, the accountant, to switch that bill from this account to the other account when it's covered.
That's a big chunk of that, so.
Is the actual date of this 10/16? Or was it the date that you sent it? The as-of date for those figures?
The one I sent you, I sent Friday.
Okay.
I printed one today. Does anyone have a printed copy? The one I printed today is probably slightly different.
Questions on the budget? Motion to accept?
So moved.
Michael seconded that. Okay, all those in favor? All right. Did anybody consider the vice chair position? Or would anybody like to nominate somebody else for the vice chair position?
I would like to nominate Michelle.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll second it. Give me a second.
If there are no other nominations. All those in favor of making Michelle vice chair?
Say anything before we do this?
I'll write a caveat, I know that she's willing to take it.
Oh, okay.
I had asked Janet about it. I had asked Janet about it since she'd been vice chair for so long. I happily accept. Thank you.
So all those in favor?
Accept the nomination.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can run the next meeting.
You better do that.
It's actually debatable. Okay, old business. Rain barrels for sprinkler system. Pam, did you send that email just to me or everybody?
No, did everybody get it?
Well, I don't look at that. You did send something.
I thought, Sorry, I was referring to the one.
I asked our director's listserv, which is presumably 35 libraries,
That's the one.
and got one reply
Yeah,
from
that's-
Middleton.
that's
And she
good
sent a
enough.
picture, but she said that they really only use it for their annuals, that she didn't think there would be enough pressure and or water to
Which
do a
is-
whole lawn.
Exactly the response I got, that you cannot run a sprinkler system off of rain barrels. The suggestion was looking into the expense of digging a well, our own well. Something we can look into. I think we'll find it prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of summers to make that money back.
Yes. So I'm not sure what the answer is to the irrigation system, other than round one.
Well, I will talk to the landscapers. It's possible that there's a more conservative sprinkler head that we can use. It's possible that when we program the pattern, we can be more conservative.
Okay.
So we'll do that in spring.
All right. Want that as an action item now, or will we totally forget this one? Oh, Erin, can you also include the action items in the notes, please? As we come to them? So I think we're just considering we don't need a sprinkler system right now, that one will wait. We should consider it, however, before July. So that we don't end up in dry lawn or anything like that. Library wish list, should everybody take a moment to look at that? I was a little thrown off at first, Pam. I thought the fines were low priority and the ones were high priority at first.
I should have explained that better. What I did is I passed around the wish list to the staff. They added a few items, and I asked them to rank them. I said, put a check mark next to your top 5 that you think are the most important. So each of the numbers to the left of the item is how many votes that item got by different staff members.
But it does not include your vote.
It does not include my votes.
Does yours more or less coincide with this? Or no? You should have at least voted there.
Well, there's certainly pros and cons for each item.
Okay.
Is there any glaring, like anything high on the priority list that you don't think is a priority, or anything that you think got overlooked?
What's the difference between 1 vote and 2 vote? It's not really.
Well, are there any one votes that you think we really need, or?
What about the server?
I think the laptop and the server are kind of important, but they're probably not so much in the wish list, but more in our technology plan. They're probably just what's due to be replaced next, since they're both as old as this building, which is 8 years.
I know we've discussed the server before.
Yeah, and as far as the staff, serving the public better, that's kind of hidden to them. They don't, use them or think about them ever, so that's why it wouldn't have gotten voted.
For a budget you're trying to hit with this?
Well, we have these discretionary accounts.
If you go back to the budget and you look on the other funds on the back, or on, I don't know how Pam printed it, usually it's two-sided.
The MEG is about $5,000 a year. The Emerson Trust also makes about $5,000 a year on interest.
We tend sort of to use the MAG for technology.
And other things like continuing education expenses. It's sort of like this. If it's improving library service in some way, it's MAG. If it's enhancing the building in some way, it's Emerson. And that's just because the Emerson comes from the town and the MAG comes from the state. But that is very loose. That's not a guideline. That's just
No, it's just kind of how we do it.
traditionally, I would say.
Yeah, traditionally.
Are any of these, like, the museum pass booking software, that's a one-time, these are all one-time expenses, right?
The event keeper, which does museum pass booking and the online calendar, that would be a yearly license for the software.
I'm sorry, the event keeper, online calendar, and what other one?
Museum pass booking software,
Oh, it
it's the
is.
same company.
It is annual. Okay. And do you sign any sort of contract to ensure that the fee doesn't increase for a certain length of time, or?
I haven't really spoken with the salesperson, I just got the price from the website.
I remember we talked about the booking software before for museum passes, and it seems that you haven't really received much feedback, negative feedback about it coming into the library, so.
Well,
You
people
still-
still have to come into the library,
To pick them up.
But they can reserve them.
reserve it
Okay.
online, right?
So they don't know necessarily until they come in what's available.
Right.
Unless they
It's,
call.
they would have to call and say, is the pass available on this day?
Yep.
Whereas with the booking software, they look online and see, they can either look by what's available today or any day,
Or by,
or when can I go to the Museum of Science?
gotcha. Yeah, okay. And the online calendar would be for our events.
Mhm. What Event Keeper is just a little piece of software that makes it easy for people who don't do websites to get their events up there. It's just an interface where you can put in your event, you put in your time, you put in a little icon or whatever, and Event Keeper displays them either. It's what you, like when I send you links to sign up for things for MLS,
Okay,
it's what they use.
okay.
But the point is that input, anybody can do the input, so the children's room can do their events. You know, you don't need to know HTML or Dreamweaver or anything like that to get things posted.
So that would take a lot off your desk, a lot of administratives.
Not necessarily, I mean, it would also still require some training.
That would not include the meeting rooms, right?
Well, there's two different pieces of the software. There's our events, our event calendar, and then there's a meeting room booking. But no, we wouldn't necessarily display everything that's in this room.
No, but would we allow people to sort of reserve the rooms online? Because we tend to sort of have to approve whether it's appropriate use of the room.
I'm not really clear how that works. Yeah, it might be moderated, I don't know.
Okay. Is Library or something like it also an annual license?
Yes. And that, I think some of you know that MPLC is working on a new materials list. In Horizon, we had it in our catalog. People could just click on new materials and it was compiled into a list. Evergreen does not have that functionality, but the directors made a fuss and they're going to try and develop it.
Is there a time frame on that?
Yeah.
Okay. But it would make library unnecessary.
Has anybody looked at Library? If you want to go to the Georgetown Library's website, you can sign up for it just to see. You get a weekly email of what they've added to their collection.
And that's basically what it is a weekly email. So the thing that got the biggest hit on here was the website overhaul. I know we've talked about that in very general terms. What does that entail?
What I would well, there's many ways to go about it. What I would recommend is hiring a professional to take all of our content out of Dreamweaver, put it into WordPress or something that's easier to use, navigate, search, post, and then we take over content updates from there.
And we can keep it posted where it is?
I think if we use WordPress, that we have free storage.
So you're not talking about a redesign as far as the user experience?
A little bit. I mean, it would by default look a little differently. But I don't think we would rewrite the content, the permanent content that's there, library services, FAQs.
The look and feel would be more or less pretty similar to what it is now.
Yeah, we could keep the graphics if we wanted to, or just update them a little bit.
Now, right now, we host the Friends website. Would that be something that we would be able to keep in WordPress?
As I understand it, we can take all of our pages and all of our content and just have them sort of imported into another program.
Okay.
So yes, I mean, we would certainly have to.
That's because that's one of our pages, but I'm trying to remember, the trick on that was that they have a form on theirs.
And that, the form is to sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter is broken,
Okay.
They're still collecting the names as people fill out the forms. The problem with the form was we had talked about having MVLC host the site, and they do not manage plugins, so the form wouldn't work.
Can we have it look however we want if it's on MVLC?
It's not gonna be on MVLC.
That's out of question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, it could still be considered. However, we'd have to keep it in Dreamweaver to use MVLC.
Oh, we do? Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay. I understand.
So, does that change being able to search through the whole consortium if you're looking for
It
something?
won't change the catalog one bit. Our site is separate from the catalog, they're just linked. I can certainly, if you like, sort of find some of my favorite library websites and send you links to look at them. I know Groveland has recently redone theirs, Georgetown uses WordPress.
So much simpler and cleaner.
WordPress is?
Mhm.
It would enable you guys, I know, to do a lot more easily and probably save money in the long run.
And it's easier, it's better, it's more navigable, it's just, it's, you know, it's been probably 8 years since we did our website and things change and expectations change.
I would love to see.
That's the Groveland one.
some, yeah, different options. And I'm assuming that includes that you would get free, no license images, so you would be paying for images.
Right.
To be hosted to,
Right.
and like those.
Did you say Georgetown also uses it?
Georgetown uses WordPress. Georgetown built their own. Groveland had a consultant.
Okay. There's the Georgetown.
I think that was like Switch's website. I wonder if they use the same. Did you say Georgetown used?
Georgetown uses WordPress, yep.
But did they have a consultant?
No, we did it ourselves.
Does Newburyport use WordPress?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. You can probably tell by looking at it, it's pretty obvious. They're all kind of similar in structure.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a pre-built, but it's nice. Very good.
That's very similar. Just the shape of the, which one are you on? Newburyport?
Newburyport.
Okay. Yeah, here's Ipswich, which I can see why Michelle commented that it was very similar to
They spent a
Georgetown.
lot of money on theirs, a lot.
And it really does look a lot like Georgetown's.
I'm
Yeah.
sure Georgetown appreciates how much money you switch. So we don't have the expertise in-house, so we would have to use a consultant.
Well, no, I mean, we have options. If we tried to do it in-house, it would just take up a lot of my time.
For somebody's time, certainly. When we did
You
the one that
in
we
the
have,
audience.
when we did the one we have now, David did a whole lot.
David,
Yeah,
he did, and he actually was commuting to Boston at the time, and he told us, right, we got 2 train rides a week, and that's when he worked on the site.
So are there things that we need for follow-up before deciding on something like the website overhaul?
I mean, I guess, you know, I'll send some links and you can look at some other sites and, you know, kind of get a sense of what the possibilities are. I do have the contact person of the consultant who helped Groveland. I can get a hold of her and maybe get a better, more specific price range.
Would you test the waters? How do people feel about overhauling the website?
I think it's important. I mean, if we're here to provide public service, this is kind of like the tip of the spear, you know, the
It's like our first impression.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's very important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
definitely the old one's updated.
Yeah,
You know, it's-
and I think it's
So is
telling.
And it's clunky too.
Yeah.
And the fact that I've been doing the content updates and I'm not a designer means, you know, things, you know,
And I think it's telling that the staff unanimously
Yeah,
agree,
exactly.
and they're the people who are dealing with the patrons that are coming in and hearing their comments, so I think it's important.
Can we safely say it's worthwhile to pursue?
Yes.
Are we pursuing, or are we, I said test the waters to see if we just want to go ahead
I think
and
we should
approve
do
it out of the, approve it out of the money that's available.
Do we want to find out
a few minutes.
some actual costs first
Sure.
for having a professional do it?
mhm.
I mean, we can say up to 2,000 in a motion, if you think that that's a fair amount.
That's just my guess.
No, that's what I'm
Yeah.
not sure about.
The other person I could talk to is Rick Hydrant, who does the other town departments. I don't think, I think that he works with a different company, and I'm not sure that the content updates would be able to necessarily do ourselves if we went with him going forward. And I think he might also charge us an annual fee.
But if we got somebody who could help us design it, but we design it in WordPress, then we can maintain it, right?
Right.
We don't need somebody ongoing.
Right.
Okay.
That's I think the best approach.
All right, so no motion needed yet, or do you want to put it off till next month, or do we want a
Yeah.
motion for?
It sounds like we have some research to do, and that, between getting quotes and meeting up with these people, that might take a while anyway, so I don't think we'll lose any time by pushing it off to next week. Next month.
For myself personally, I think we need to paint the trim on the building certainly before the 375th in 2014. Obviously, we're not going to do it this time of year, so.
And this 15,000 that I,
Spring and get it booked,
Yeah.
get quotes and find somebody.
work on quotes over the winter.
We might want to work on quotes over the winter, because finding somebody could be tricky.
Mhm.
Just if anybody has suggestions, just have your house painted or something.
I would recommend.
Who to recommend, who not to recommend.
Yes, please, if you know any consultants. let me know.
Look on Angie's list.
Which is actually, it's going to come up in a little bit under subcommittee meetings. Building and grounds is pretty much down to one person. So anybody who'd like to volunteer to help with building and grounds with things like getting quotes and trimming hedges and whatever else is needed, just keep that in mind while we work our way to that part of the agenda. So I don't think we need to decide on painting trim right tonight. We definitely, I think, want to get that done. Does everyone agree?
If not, all of the exterior paint, and maybe when we have a contractor come look at it, they can recommend.
What to do.
I mean, the trim is clearly failing.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I haven't looked that closely at the paint on the siding.
I wonder if we could start getting quotes now for next summer, or if people would quote this far out.
Right, yeah.
I think they would. I think they're looking for next summer. That's a guess, but I think they would.
So
Does
should,
anyone else, sorry.
should building and grounds, should that be something for the building and grounds committee?
Yes, actually, it would be an action item for the Building and Grounds Committee to get some statements, some quotes.
Okay.
So we need to start
So
recruiting.
put me down the action list.
John is.
John, you did a
painting
great
quotes.
job on the shed. What would be your price for the whole building?
Well, if I start now, I can have it by, it'll be done by the 375th anniversary. And I won't charge anything other than labor, but you gotta give me plenty of time.
I just on a couple of these others. Richard is researching the buffer for the marble floors. Apparently they rent them at Home Depot, and every few years they sell off their rental ones. So he's just trying to find a gently used one.
Are we sure that rental ones are gently used?
That's what the guy at Home Depot that he talked to said, that people don't really rent them all that much.
Okay.
So hardly used.
Hardly used.
Yeah.
I think that it is. Does anyone else have things on this list that they specifically want to jump into? I don't want to direct this completely if people have stuff they think is important to.
when we get to the outreach subcommittee report, I want to talk about the ebook readers. So that's probably makes more sense to do
Okay.
under subcommittee.
Pam, how important is the DVD cleaning machine?
4 people think so.
How frequently do you want to?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, what were you gonna ask?
I think it's a good idea. There are many times when I've rented DVDs, a little sticky, wasn't able to read or.
Yeah, they're not
skips.
very sturdy
Yeah.
for public use. We had someone come and demo one brand of these machines, and, I mean, they're expensive, they're loud, they use supplies, you have to keep buying like the cleaner and the pads, and it's loud and it takes a while. So,
Sounds great.
I mean,
You're really
So
selling
two-
us.
so that's why we haven't pursued it before, because I'm not sure who would do it and when they would do it. I mean, it's
Is
an
it cheaper to
ideal.
buy a new DVD once they get that
That
damaged?
could very well be,
And that was
yeah.
another question I was gonna ask, is
Yeah.
it actually gonna save money? in the
Right,
end?
right now, we send them away to a company that does them for, I think, $3.99 per disc. If they can be repaired, there's no charge, he just sends them back to us.
Oh, that sounds like it makes more sense.
It would be nice if the patron comes in and says this doesn't work, to be able to do it
Throw it in the
immediately
machine and give it
hand
back to
But
them.
when you
That
say
would
it
be
takes a
nice.
while, does it take like 5 minutes?
no,
or does it
no,
take
like-
half an hour?
Like a minute.
Oh, okay. When you said a while, I was thinking you crunched away for an hour in the back.
No, this is, you have to like squirt the stuff on there, line up the pad, put it in, press the button, and wait until it spins for a minute. And another option is, what some libraries have done is the friends buy the machine and use it as a fundraiser, let people come and bring in their personal CDs and DVDs and clean them for $1.
Hmm,
We'll have to bring that up to the friends.
So I can bring that up to the friends, I can
okay.
consider that. But you still need someone to do it, and if you're inviting the public to just bring them in, you kind of have to have someone ready to just do it.
Would you, I mean, obviously the friends haven't even agreed with it, proposed this to them, but would you do that randomly ongoing, or would you say on this Friday it's DVD cleaning day, or
Like this
Friday,
Saturday,
obviously, but this
right.
Saturday, and then the friends could maybe have somebody, a
Yeah.
stash of people to come through for an hour and scrub DVDs, read their book in the meantime, and use their line.
Pam, as you read like trade press and stuff, I mean, do people think DVDs will continue to be used in
No.
libraries for a while?
No, it's going to be all streaming soon.
That's what I was just thinking, don't buy a machine if your DVDs are on now.
So have we had people complain that they can't just take it right back, have it cleaned, and then leave with it again?
I don't know that anyone specifically complained about that, no, we just say, I'm sorry, we'll have to order you another copy. And I mean, they've never been given the option of, oh, too bad, we can't clean it for you.
Right, right. Apparently they're not getting that service somewhere else, so they're not necessarily mad, we've told everybody that. It kind of sounds like we're talking ourselves out of that one.
Yeah.
So,
Especially, what do we pay for an average DVD? Like Erin says, like how many could we replace before we?
It's a new movie that retails for $30 and we pay $20 for it. Something like, a children's TV show, we might pay $6 for it.
So we'll leave that one on the wish list.
I think that one sounds like maybe another best
Yeah.
spending of funds. The cordless phone, we had talked about once before, and I was trying to remember whether it was a safety reason or convenience. For not having to dash back to the desk.
Convenience. You could actually go and do a chore. You could, walk with a patron to the stacks. You could do some shelf reading if it was quiet. They're literally chained to that desk because that phone. However, I did look on the website of Encore, which is our system. I'm not sure they make one. They make a headset, but I didn't see a cordless extension. And I emailed whatever Encore corporate and said, I need a dealer in this area and haven't heard back.
So then that one is sort of by default tabled until we find out whether we can use one or not.
And the last time it came up that we wanted, you know what we wanted to do at one time was have another extension come into the building so that, like, before hours, if, say someone's calling in sick, but we're not answering the phone because we're not open yet, having a line that's just for staff. And when we talked about that and how much that was gonna be, someone said, just get a cell phone, and I don't remember who it was at the time was gonna go research getting a cell phone. And that just
conversation
fell through the cracks as well.
Yeah, because that was one that we were actually talking about too for, say, when you were troubleshooting the server, you would have the cell phone to
I
talk on.
have to use my cell phone to do any technical support, not at,
So
yeah.
why don't we get like a prepaid cell phone? Because you can feed those.
We can, that wouldn't necessarily help with the problem of being stuck at the desk when you're here, because you still have to answer the landline when it rings.
It really is a separate issue, right?
Yeah.
So you want something that's gonna come to the 2850
Right,
number.
right. So, I'm,
What do you think a cordless phone's gonna cost us to
30, 40
on-call?
bucks.
Oh, Encore.
well, that's the thing, it has to be this manufacturer, and we have to have someone come in and program it into the system. There's like a hard drive in there.
Wow.
And does it need to handle more than one line?
I think it would, anyways.
Simply by being programmed in?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that, I mean, we're facing the same problem with the phone extension in the children's office. And the reason there's not a phone extension in there is, it was always storage. It was never actually an office.
So the extension just rings up the circulation desk in there.
There's a service desk, right, and there's a phone at the service desk. The presumption is, when there's only one person working, that person should be at the service desk.
Right.
But on Wednesdays, there's 2 people in there.
So we have some more phone stuff to look into.
If we're gonna do any branding or marketing, we might wanna do that sort of in conjunction with revising the website, or at least a little before or at the same time.
Yeah, those two are completely intertwined.
Mhm.
What, does anyone have ideas on what our brand is? Is there something that's driving that?
Well, we've never had a logo made. We use that architectural drawing of the building on everything, but we don't really have any sort of unified look for
I just didn't know if
our-
somebody had an idea about it, that's all. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I just didn't know if somebody had in mind a logo already or suggestions for one. Is that a no? No? Okay. Just checking. So that would obviously, not that our website overhaul is gonna be overnight, but that would slow us down. It does make sense that they go together. But we would have to first come up with some ideas ourselves as to what we want our brand and our logo to be, and then find an artist to give us ideas or demonstrations and then vote on it. So, what would be first steps? Since we've pretty much decided we do want to overhaul the website, we have to work on that too.
All right, I mean, I can try and find, I'll try and find someone to talk to get more of an idea.
I wonder if the same consultants
Quite
would
possibly,
handle
yeah.
logo as well as
Mhm.
website. Or at least
So I'm
probably
looking-
have people that they work with.
Langley Adams doesn't have a logo at all. Georgetown's is an architectural drawing, much like ours.
Ipswich has a
Look
logo.
at
Ipswich has the funky little
Ipswich,
logo.
yeah.
How about the can?
Wilmington.
Old Nancy?
Old Nancy, yeah.
Shooting,
She
stealing
had
it
a
from the
bug.
police department, I don't know, so. Shooting books out, I don't know.
Or even the quote that's in the statue that needs repair up there,
That's a good idea.
you know?
Mhm.
I think that's,
What does it
I don't know,
say?
something along, if you have a library in a garden, you have everything, something along
That sounds like a great idea.
So Newburyport's is just the NPL kind of all intertwined.
I'm pretty sure Wilmington has one. I think North Reading does.
I'm not sure if Maryland has it either.
But as I understand it,
Wilmington does, they have a little spiral. It's kind of a nightmare remember a colorblindness test to me.
yeah, they even have a tagline, community starts here.
What if, I was gonna say, what if we had our sign out front, but it looks exactly like every other sign in the Essex
Yeah.
heritage.
Where else did you say, Wilmington and where?
North Reading? And I think they might be called,
It'll come up under,
Yeah.
Public Library. Flint?
Flint. I was gonna say Flint, and then I thought, no, that's Middleton.
And they pretty much have a line of their building as they look out. Small town.
And do they have a tagline too, now I see the address?
So everyone has homework. Come up with a good tagline and more.
Three?
It actually, I mean, it might not, it would tie in definitely with the statue, to
I like
have
the
something like that,
tagline.
you know, well, or even to have the book, you know, I mean, I don't know if that's hokey or not to have the book, but, it definitely ties in with the library. It has a purpose and meaning with us, so, I love the word, anyway. Myself. So, what exactly is the action item and who's responsible? Everybody?
What I've written so far is that Dan,
I keep
Sorry.
hearing click, click, click.
Dan will look into other library websites and provide us with some links to view for further discussion at our November meeting. She'll also look into possible consultants. And that all of us will brainstorm some ideas for a library tagline and logo.
Okay. Okay. Do we want to stay on the wish list, or are there other things on that you want to get to?
I'd like to approve something on the wish list. I feel like we shut everything down. But this, well, no, we haven't tried to take that back. That, strike that from the minutes.
It's not shutting it down,
It's just,
more
it's,
research.
yeah, more research is needed
Yeah.
and everything,
Yeah.
but is there anything, I guess with, like, you know, initially, like, cordless phone, yeah, sure, let's just, but then I guess that's, everything's more complicated than I thought, but is there anything that's,
Exactly, if it wasn't complicated, we would have done it already.
That's why they're trustees, John.
I mean, like the flag and bunting, yeah, we'll just get those in the spring, that'll be fine. The flag, I don't know if you've noticed, it's supposed to be that bright library blue that's, the universal symbol, and it's not that blue anymore from being out in the sun all these years.
Our open flag specifically.
Yeah, and, we had the sign made so that the open reads on either, we paid extra money to have a double-sided sign.
Yep.
And then when we hung it, we realized there's only one way to face out, so.
Because it hangs this way off the building.
Exactly.
Right.
So we could
one on
put it on the
side.
other side of the building, but I think that would be weird and confuse people when they're used to looking for it on this
I
side.
think having it face the driveway makes
Yeah.
sense. Yes.
So that side faded more quickly than the back side.
Okay.
But does everybody like the idea of bunting on the building? We've never done that before, but, usually like between Flag Day and 4th of July, you have
Love it.
bunting.
Yeah, because they put the flags
Yeah, they do all this, all
all
the.
up and down Main Street.
Mhm.
so
Does
I
town
think
hall
that'd
do
be nice.
bunting?
Does
Or
anyone in
just the
town do
flags?
bunting?
Does who?
Does anybody in town do bunting?
I don't know.
Residences are some of them.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm actually a little bit, but we've never had an outdoor flag.
No.
Have we? Because that's been something that I've wondered why we don't have one in the garden or out front.
We can look into getting a flagpole.
I have no opinion on the bunting. If people want bunting, we can look into that too.
Is this going to start in during its 25th? Or are we going to do it this year? Or
Yeah, next summer.
2012.
Yeah, it would be for any patriotic holiday, you're saying, when we put it out, right?
Okay.
So Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, 4th of July.
13.
Okay. Flag Day?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to volunteer to look into
I'll do that.
You'll do what, sorry?
I'll do that. I mean,
To look into it?
Yeah, no, well,
How'd you
come spring, I'll order a new flag and some bunting from the company that did our old flag. How's that, Tom?
Sounds good, this American Revolution War flag bunting.
Maybe we don't have a flag because we're right next to town hall, and
And
they
they-
have the big flag.
And there's a sun, it's even on the side.
Something that was low on the staff list, but that we used to have, and I think it got a lot of use, is the laptop.
Yes,
In fact, other town departments used to borrow it from us occasionally.
yes.
But it also
As
allows
we-
Pam to make,
People who use this room and the projector in here oftentimes would borrow our computer. And I could come and do little presentations for you guys,
right.
or for anyone.
Yeah, you used to use it a lot for
I used to use
meetings
it a lot.
before it just died.
That seems pretty straightforward.
Do people think that that's a worthwhile use of our funds?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I think so too.
Does anybody want to volunteer to research which laptop we should get? I am not the technology person for that.
I'll volunteer to call PRS.
Well, we can stick to PRs, certainly. Okay.
The other
You're
thing-
gonna end up with the entire action item list, too.
Well, yeah, I've talked to Rick about getting a laptop before, and the thing is, if we get an over-the-counter one, we're gonna spend all this time taking the bloatware off of it. I mean, he will, yeah, I'll just talk to PRS.
Okay. All right. Other things we want to talk about on here right now? Pam, did you mention to me on the bed cleanup and reading and printing that Richard might? do
Well,
something about that?
The bed cleanup is a big, I mean, it's edging, it's mulching. So there's a big thing in the spring that we really need the landscapers to come and do. But as far as sort of weeding and maintaining throughout the summer,
Mhm.
yes, Richard has said that he would be willing to do that. He is coming up with either an hourly or a yearly rate that he would like the Friends to pay him to do that. And I believe he is gonna finish up some pruning just around here. He did the stuff that was really bad, but he's gonna do a little more before.
So it's kind of a spring item as well.
Yeah, well, he's gonna do some pruning in the fall, and then we'll have to, the Friends are actually gonna bid out the landscaping, just because they haven't done it in a while. See what other vendors are out there.
Okay. Are there other things on here you want us to, either of those, the event keeper or do we want to wait on that stuff until we decide on the website? The calendar things, or would
Mhm.
those also be transferable?
They're sort of their own page, yeah.
So you could link them to.
Exactly,
So just a link out.
exactly. Mhm.
So is there one of those that you want us to consider approving tonight? Or both, or, I mean, I know it's a wish list, you want them all, but. Yes, no? Either of those, calendars or bookings, or
Sure, yeah.
one more than the other? I'm asking.
I'm just not really sure how the museum pass booking software works. We've not had any incidents with our current system as far as double booking in a long, long time. I think it's clunky. How do I want to say this? Because it's just a database, you have to put in parameters. For example, you have to say, well, if yoga ends at 7, the next meeting can't start until 7:15, and just like doing all that in a mechanical interface is, you know, things will maybe not be accommodated that could, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Whereas when you're talking to a person who can say, oh, well, that won't be a problem because I know this group and they'll be, you know, quiet or whatever. Do you know what I'm
It's a
saying?
large craft event going on, it's gonna take them 15 minutes to clean up, or,
Yeah, I just think a person can make a judgment call unlike a program.
so you're not signing me in favor of that, right?
And it's another piece of technology for our staff to learn.
Mhm.
And I think we might be more in danger of overbooking with a tool that we don't really know well yet.
Yeah, we certainly would want to be optimizing its use. You know, if we were purchasing, we pay annual
Right.
fees for something. So you almost want to look into training
Right.
being provided.
Yeah. Because there will still be patrons who call,
Yeah.
and when we'll have to do the input for them.
Well, people come here to use their computers, not everyone
Right.
has ones. Yeah.
Right.
Pam, when you call PRS, will you ask about the server too, so we can have a price in here?
Yes.
I'm sorry, PRS is going to be asked for
About a laptop and a server.
laptop and server. Thank you.
The shelving solution for DVDs got put in there because a patron complained that they had to bend over to look at the ones on the bottom shelf, which, I mean, I think probably the shelving solution for the DVDs is to get rid of the VHS and have more room that way.
How often do the VHS circulate?
I need to study that.
This, oh, sorry, I'm looking for my thing. Never mind.
The books are on the bottom shelf too, right?
They are, yeah. I mean, not all the way, we try to not use the
Yeah.
bottom shelf, and
But in a lot of places.
in a lot of places
Yeah.
they are.
We were like that one sometime. The one, I remember seeing it, the DVDs, but it seems to have disappeared from the list.
You might have an older
It's
list.
the bottom one, it's the bottom one, it's the one.
Oh, there we go, okay. It's only one. On the mango, I know, Jake, you brought that up quite a while ago, didn't you?
Oh, well over a year ago, I think.
Yeah. Have we ever had requests for?
Well, we had, for a very brief time, we had Rosetta Stone,
Yes.
but then Rosetta Stone just yanked their library subscription because it was competing with their for sale subscription. So right when we lost Rosetta Stone, there were a lot of people asking for language software. And there's other ones too. There's Recorder Books has one. I mean, I think it's something that's worthwhile to provide. And it would, there's probably room for it in our materials budget, frankly. I can ponder that.
When I spoke to a Mango sales guy, he said that we get the lowest price because of our size,
Our
the
population.
lowest possible price.
Okay. I personally, I think the language software would be something really different for a town this size to have and good.
Yeah, I mean,
especially-
the CDs circulate regularly.
So, do you want to look into using the budget for that, or?
Sure, yeah, well,
Okay.
and I have a feeling that when Jacob brought it up, it was maybe the end of a fiscal year, and we said, wow, we can't really do it this year. Does that sound right to you?
Maybe.
Pam, is that an annual cost?
Yes. But it's good towards our expenditure requirement too.
Not that we don't want more books. All right, anything else? I want to keep us moving. We're at 8:30 already, so not that I want to shut this off if there's more discussion.
I think we have some
Some
made
good
some good
follow-up.
progress, yeah.
Okay.
So should I go ahead and well, I guess yeah. We'll do the event keeper in the same time we do the website.
So, sorry, I just wanted to make sure I've got the right action items on that. You're going to check on the flag and bunting in the spring. You're going to check with PRS on the laptop and the server, and consider Mango from the budget. And John is going to have fun talking to painters,
Yes.
Unless someone else volunteers for the building and grounds.
unless somebody else volunteers, and then we can split that task. Everybody's going to brainstorm ideas for library. Okay, I actually put the action item on here is building and grounds, not as John, so. All right. Rowley Reads update, Michelle?
We haven't moved too far on this because it's a long way out. However, Pam and I did do some research on the timeline for the grant and thought that it was worthwhile to apply for an LSTA grant to fund it. We've also brainstormed possible people to invite to be part of the committee to choose the book, including representatives from the Historical Society, the Selectman's Office, Council on Aging, I don't have that list in front of me, the Friends, possibly educators, so that is, that's moving forward at the pace that it should, considering that the grant would probably come first, and the due date for the grant is,
We write a letter of intent, December, we go to a workshop, it's January, February, we turn in a draft in March.
so it's all, the dates are, we've got plenty of time to do this well.
That wraps up old business, new business. Pam will be on the Rowley 375th committee, kind of by default, I guess.
Really? Okay,
That's not what I thought, that's what I thought I heard.
okay.
Michelle has volunteered to back up Pam when she can't make it, or in addition to Pam, if anybody else is interested in doing that.
Is that the 307 we used to talk about? Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody to represent.
Well, Nancy, the president of the Friends, I believe, is already there. Could she be our?
She can't really represent the
She can't represent
trustees.
the trustees.
We're
She
talking
can
about
represent the
representing
library.
She can represent.
So she's been
Friends.
appointed?
I think she's been sworn in, but don't quote me.
Well, I know Joe Perrier is involved in, is he the chair?
I thought you told me that.
I'm not sure what his role,
Okay.
he's definitely involved in the committee. I don't know if he's the chair of it or not, but he had mentioned that they're gonna start having meetings. I think he's been out of town, he's coming back today. They're gonna start having meetings soon. And I know that they had sort of invited department heads and whatnot, including Pam, like 2 years ago, I think, to be part of
It's a while
this.
ago, they sent out letters.
To be part of the committee. And I don't know how that's gonna fit into Pam's schedule, but my thought was if we wanted to have someone there, since we're a board, we should maybe have, I didn't wanna just go and speak for the Board of Trustees without knowing that the Board of Trustees thought that was a good idea.
So basically, Michelle volunteering.
Yeah, I'm already on the committee with the church.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you feel comfortable representing both?
Well, I could do both, I'm gonna be there for one anyways.
Okay. And you?
Yeah,
Are you on it by default, or-
so I have to write a letter to the selectman and ask to be appointed, right?
I was told
Yeah.
that I would need to do that, I don't know about the town. Okay.
Okay,
So we're covered.
we're covered. Phil will do double representation.
And can other members participate, as they wish?
I think
In any
Anyone
meeting that
can,
we
you can
publish?
go as a citizen, you can ask to be appointed as a citizen.
Michelle was asking only because she wanted to represent the board, not just go as a citizen.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure that we had coverage, since we're gonna be doing stuff to celebrate the 375th. It's also the building's 10th anniversary, and I just wanted to, you know, make sure that we were dovetailing.
At the table,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, and that we weren't planning the same event, and that, you know, we could build off their ideas. And so as long as we're gonna have representation, that's what I'm.
Okay. I have emailed with Scott, who is one of the key holders for the building, for if there's a call in the middle of the night or at 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon or whatever, that there's something wrong here, or the alarm is going off or whatever. And he does intend to turn his key back in. So we need another volunteer to be that person. Right now, I'm a key holder, Michelle's a key holder, and we need a third. And basically, I'm the first one on the list that the alarm company calls. I think when we first determined that was because I lived closest, but I just said leave it there. I think Michelle lives a half an inch closer or something like that. So anyway, if somebody wants to volunteer, then you don't have to pay.
I'll volunteer since I'm right next door, and
You're closer.
if something drastic was likely to happen here, we live in sure next door as well.
Yes.
Actually, I think it'd be the reverse way. The buildings are pretty close,
Yeah, yeah, okay, excellent.
especially that typical four-letter word with fire.
Yeah, that's not a nice word,
Yeah.
okay.
So Phil, just come by some time, I think I have an extra key, I don't have to wait for Scott to turn his in to give you one, but you kind of have to go over, it. The doors are a little complicated, and
A little trim.
we'll have to get you an alarm code.
Okay.
It's really, you know, you just get a phone call basically from the alarm company saying the police are on their way and how long will it take you to get there? So, that sort of thing. And it goes in order. If they don't get me, you guys can fight over who's second or third, but yeah, they'll go right down. And then they drag Pam over here from the river. If you haven't any of us. I think the last time it was a cold, miserable, rainy night.
It was a cold, miserable, rainy night, I had to come down and lock the door.
I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
Sounds like one of Snoopy's letters.
I guess a dark and stormy night. Okay, the next item I have under new business, Aaron, it would kind of fall to you, but I would like to propose that we write thank you letters to David and Joe for the service they gave to the trustees during their years on the board.
Yes.
Is everyone in agreement that that's a good idea?
And I will also draft a thank you letter to Rob.
Oh, yes.
So I'll write those 3 letters and send them to everyone for review, so that next meeting we can sign.
And be sure to write something nice in there too.
Trustee badges, this is something that, at some point, the selectmen decided that town officials, which theoretically we are, who interact with the public should have ID badges. My sort of vague understanding of this was that, I think it was intended for like the light department, the water department that's gonna come knocking on your door.
They need a photo ID.
They need a photo
Yeah.
ID. Joe, when he was chair, thought that it did include us. So I contacted the police station to find out, is it necessary? And if so, how do we go about doing this? And they basically sent me back to Deb for right now. So I've got another email out to Deb that I just managed to get out today. What brought it up again in my mind basically was our meeting on the disaster plan. Because that was the one real time I thought we might want them, was if we're running around with a whole bunch of other personnel. They don't want to know that we're authorized to throw wet library books in a freezer truck or something like that. So.
For example, after Hurricane Katrina, library workers were repurposed as like DPW workers, like all city employees were just marshaled to do, and if you show up and you say, I'm a library trustee, and you can't prove it, they're gonna say, go home.
Right, it's not as if we have business cards or something. So
Right.
anyway, I'm just looking into that as a possible, that's something that we need to follow up on. We had discussed at the end of a meeting one time, we changed our meeting, we used to meet on Wednesday nights, which I think we went Tuesday, something like that. We changed our meeting night because somebody had a conflict. I think that somebody was David, who's no longer here. Sorry?
Are you talking about when we went from Tuesday to Wednesday, or?
When we went from
Most
Tuesday
recent?
to Wednesday.
We went from
Okay.
Wednesday to
No, Wednesday to Tuesday, I'm sorry.
Tuesday, because Joe,
Yeah, Joe had
Joe
four
had
meetings.
four,
on
yeah.
Wednesdays.
And only two
Yeah.
on Tuesday nights, okay. Is there a better night, or do we want to keep it? I know a lot of people have said it feels like we meet really late in the month by doing third Tuesday. That's possibly just a mindset thing, because we used to meet earlier in the month, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't have a preference.
Well, we're talking about night of the week or
Yes.
which week of the month?
Either one. We opted for third week of the month for Tuesday nights, because the Friends meet Tuesday night, the second Tuesday.
right.
And we didn't want to conflict with them, because Michelle and Pam and I do when I can, we all try to go to those meetings. but-
And the first Tuesday of the month will catch us by surprise.
And I won't have, oftentimes I won't have my statistics in yet.
Right.
Especially if the first Tuesday is the first.
Right, I just
It would
wouldn't
be
have
messy.
them.
So then I guess if we keep it on Tuesday, the 3rd seems like it makes the most sense.
Right.
If we keep it on.
If we keep it on
Right.
Tuesday, is anybody fighting to get here on Tuesday night? Is there a better night? Any of you got some
Monday and
better?
Tuesday are the best nights of the week for me.
Okay,
I think Tuesday's a relatively good night for me.
I'm fine with Tuesday, if we want to leave it as is. Okay, yeah. Stay third Tuesday of the month. Excellent. Subcommittee report, outreach. Michelle, you're up again.
I spoke to Michael Scher's family today and told them that we were very grateful for the money that was donated in his memory, and that we would like to purchase some e-books, load them with books and have them available for circulation. They were thrilled with the idea. They thought that he would like that, be very excited about that. So there was it was between $700 and $800 that was donated in memory of Michael Scher's, and Pam thought that we could get 2 or 3 e-readers.
Devices, yeah.
Devices,
And
and then
content.
have money left over to put content on them. So I thought that would be a good idea. We could get like little stickers to put on them in lieu of book plate. We could put a sticker on them to say that they were purchased with funds donated in the memory of Michael Scher's. And that perhaps some of the content that we loaded onto them would be topics that he was interested in, maybe if he had a favorite author or something like that.
How do we, I guess first, how do we decide which books to put on there? And second, how do we keep people from putting books on there? Well, they wouldn't actually would be sent for that.
Yeah, you
Never
unregister them, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And as far as what content to put on, I would think that would just follow the same content materials policy that the library does.
Where do you feel would go well on any computer?
We'll probably want some kind of policy, just because they are, pretty expensive and somewhat fragile. You probably want to have people, sign that they'll be liable if it gets broken on their watch.
And collateral.
Go for a Kindle or Nook?
Probably maybe one of each. I think that, people want the opportunity to play with them before they purchase them, and that would be a chance for them to do that.
I was surprised at how inexpensive the Nooks are. The last time I was in the Barnes & Noble. Are the Kindles competitive with that now, do you know?
Yeah.
So we need on our action items, somebody to help draft a policy for ebook circulation? You get something that you could,
I don't think I can. I was just thinking the same thing, and I'm under NDA, I don't think I can.
okay?
So I'd have to, much virgin.
You're under what?
I can't, I
Something with
think my job won't let me
Uh-huh.
advocate in any way.
Okay.
or-
Okay.
Is it advocate?
Or say things like, oh, can you?
Oh, no, I'm just thinking of the policy, not a recommendation, I'm just thinking of the policy for circulation, like,
Regardless of the type of e-reader.
right, whatever e-reader it is, we need, Pam is saying that we want people to sort of sign off, this is not just your average book, and we need you to be careful with it, and that kind of
That I
thing.
might be able
Because you probably know best sort of what can go wrong with them, and
to,
don't take it in the bathtub with you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't do that part.
Okay, does somebody, I can probably try to work with you on that, or do you want to do that, since you're behind the ebooks? All right, even Michelle will draft a policy for ebook circulation. All right,
So should we vote that that's how we want to spend?
I don't think so.
I don't think we need to, because the
We don't have
family
to.
has approved it, and it's kind of theirs to approve, so I think we're good. How are we going to determine, you said one of each, that's how we're going to determine
I
it.
think so.
Okay, that's easy. I like that.
I'll go to,
Mhm.
I think Barcelona announced they're not going to be doing books anymore.
Really?
So I don't know if that means you want to buy one because it will be cheaper, or you don't want to buy one because if something goes wrong with it, there may not be manufacturing.
They're getting out of that business?
Yeah, they just say they can't keep up, they know they can't keep up with it.
That could be why somebody just recommended to me to get the Kindle, not the Nook. They may have been insider information on that.
We might look into, I'm assuming that your downloads are going to be through Overdrive.
Well, no, we'll purchase content for these circulating
Okay.
e-readers,
Yeah,
yeah.
say, so you might
Yeah.
check in to see if Overdrive's got more Kindle or another alternative format
Mhm.
as options, and go with one that has the more options
Yeah.
for people to use.
Side question there, actually, if somebody came in and said they want to borrow the book reader because they're going on a vacation, and it's only 1 week, so they have time to get it back, would we load Overdrive books? Like if they said, I really want to take out this particular book, would we load it for them for that?
Probably
circulation
not,
period?
only because that's not really how Overdrive works. I mean, there is always their content in Overdrive, but most of them have a queue.
Yeah, I found that out quickly.
Those are the land we want.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, it just occurred to me when we were talking about Overdrive versus purchasing content. Okay, so,
Yeah, it's kind of two separate things.
all right. Preference request?
We,
We got on
yeah, we
already.
talked about that, we've,
Okay.
we talked about that with, I think, Pam's director's report. The survey's been completed, we've emailed it out to people, we will now email it out to teens. The due date for that information to get back is October 31st, and we're hoping to have a follow-up meeting the first full week of November, reviewing the data, seeing what the teens are interested in, trying to build, see how that works with what we had expected to build as programs.
Are you in on that too?
The outreach committee?
Well, the young adult writing program at least. you're-
Michael's on that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's in the email.
Considering you're behind the poetry and everything,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Which, we're ready to start advertising, at least among the participants, to get their poems ready.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
The staff appreciation lunch, I did like real high level research into what something like that would cost for, I think there's 27 people that are being invited. The friends were excited to participate, to attend, as well as help us to fund that. And the price that I came up with was about $235. I have a request to the Friends because they had mentioned that they would fund it. I don't know what they are gonna come back with, but I think it perhaps could be half. And I didn't know if we wanted to fund the other half from our discretionary funds, or if we wanted to do it with personal funds. I have no idea what everyone else thinks.
You said if it were personal funds, it would be something to
It's
like
like
$12
$12 per person, or $125, it would be like $125 out of the discretionary funds.
I mean, charging the staff?
I'm sorry?
Or
No,
about just us?
Just
No, no,
us.
for us.
Just us.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So I know we've gone back and forth on this about doing, well, I know we're also kind of waiting on a price, but we talked about doing it from discretionary funds and we talked about doing it from our own pockets.
Well, and a lot of people did reply to me that they're, I mean, yourself, I mean, a lot of people have said that they are able to bring stuff too, so that brought the cost down quite a bit. And perhaps those, you know, since some people are already bringing items, I mean, that's already out-of-pocket expense. So, you know, maybe we just do the rest out of discretionary
Discretionary
funds.
funds. That works for me.
It seems like, you know, I'm not hearing any argument on that, so is that's just something that Pam can.
Out of the donations fund? That would be?
Yeah,
Yes.
our donations, yeah.
Okay, so
So that's just,
we don't need to vote on that, do we, Pam, as discretion?
I think that's fine. For a couple $1,000, we might want to go with that. I think we give Pam away about 400, something like that.
Yeah. Yes, we did. And then Riley Reed's, we talked about under,
So you'll just kind of keep us informed on that staff luncheon as things progress? I mean, are you all set for a menu? And you've got the right amount of, the right kinds of food? And
except for this stuff, except for like things now that I need to go out and fill holes, but appetizers were pretty good on, desserts. We could maybe have one more thing. I was gonna get a cake for a market basket, and then the rest with the funds from discretionary I'll cater the rest. Either from different restaurants in the area. And it is-
Second, sweet. And a good one, big.
Thank you. And it definitely is going to be December 1st at 2. In this room. And Pam had said most of the staff said that they could be there. So,
well, I mean, I emailed the senior staff, and I put a flyer up for everybody else, the pages and the custodian. So I'll try and remember to mention it to everybody.
it would be good if they could RSVP just so we don't have food for 27.
Right, yeah, okay, I'll try and get that.
so we need to do or what to there?
I don't think so. That's good for outreach.
Okay. For planning, we met, in order to qualify for that LSTA grant, if we extend our existing 5-year plan, we're still qualified. So we put together an action plan for FY14, which I emailed to everybody. Does anyone need a copy? Can I have some extras? It's fairly straightforward. All of the action plan items, maybe all is too broad. No, all of the goals and everything came from our 5-year planning. The action items themselves are pertinent to this year. We did pretty well on FY12. We looked through that one when we met. FY13, I did not email to everybody. But that one, what we need to do basically is, I will email that one to everybody. We just kind of need to stay on top of whether we're meeting or whether we're actually taking action on what we said we would. So this is the FY14 one. We need to approve it so that it can be submitted. I think we're doing pretty well. I think these are all reasonable action items. Some are a little challenging, which we need to challenge ourselves. Does anyone have any questions on it? Did anyone have a chance to read it? A lot of these fall on the staff, and Pam especially. And she was part of this discussion. Jake? Oh, sorry, Jake, I thought you had on your computer. It involves having, activities for all age levels, working with other organizations in town. We work with the Council on Aging, and the Chamber of Commerce, and we go to Town Hall all the time. So I think we cover pretty much our goal to be a community center with these action items and these goals. If anybody sees anything that we're truly missing or any glaring typos. You'll see mention of a survey several times. We need to compile that survey and make sure that it's ready to go out with the Friends mailer in the spring, early spring.
Janet, I found one typo.
Oh,
You have two action item 2.4.2.
Oh, and that's actually right where I am. Okay.
Do we have the old survey so we can look at it as comparison? It's inside, okay.
Actually, I brought this copy from Michael because he doesn't have it, and I don't have, it's in different, some of it's PowerPoint, some of it's PDF, so I had to bring a hard copy. But there's the survey and then the results.
Are we doing the same survey?
We will do, there's one question that's no longer applicable because when we did this survey, we weren't part of MVLC yet.
Okay.
So we asked them, did they want to have an online catalog? So now we could probably replace that with, are you happy with the Evergreen catalog?
Okay. But we want to keep it similar.
We want to keep it similar to compare, exactly.
Right, there are several places where we call to compare the two surveys, so obviously they need to.
Also need another correction, last page, action item, should the last one be 3
Yep.
-5-3?
Yep. Thank you.
Janet, fee-based, be hyphenated, fee-based options.
Where are you on the top of the last page?
Yeah.
Yes.
Janet, one more, under goal 3, objective 3.1, the action items are numbered 1, 3, and 4.
Wait a minute, 3.1? Okay.
3.1.
All right. That's what we get for deleting goals. We met our goals, and then we messed ourselves up. Okay. Is there anything else? It's the last time anyone's going to send me something to edit.
Yeah.
On action item 1-3-1, which I want to add in addition Pine Grove School as well as other groups such as Cub Scouts have been over here a couple times. Just adding in Pine Grove School and
That's an action item.
children's groups.
So we could expand that to,
We'd have to expand the objective though, because the objective is specific to the Triton.
oh, it is
School
objective, the
district.
objective is specific to the schools.
Yeah, that probably comes under publicized availability of burners to other town departments, the school district in general.
School
public.
district,
Okay.
capitalized, Triton Regional School.
Well, it's either way, but yeah, it probably should be because it was TRSD. Is there someplace you want me to add that, Pam? Sorry, I was,
No, I think it's covered.
okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay. Is there anything else anybody sees? Any
Looks
questions?
really good to me.
I'll make a motion to approve the FY 2014 action plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, Pam, I put the note for the approved on there, and I'll email back to you.
Okay, and those couple questions.
Yeah, that corrected them as we went.
Thanks.
Building and grounds, statue repair.
So I forwarded, was it just today? Today I
Yes.
forwarded an email from Al's Garden Art, which made our broken book. And they sent a nice little diagram on how one repairs a concrete crack, and a very long explanation of how to do it correctly. Which I was gonna, I guess, run by Richard, unless anybody here wants to volunteer.
Run by Holland.
Ask him if he can do this.
You'll see him though, right?
Yeah.
It's after you, but
I was a little thrown by that until I read it again, and then it made more sense. But I think that
The
somebody
first
like
time I
Richard
read
is far more
it, it
qualified.
didn't make any sense to me either. It still doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but Richard's pretty handy. I just didn't want to do anything, wrong that might possibly make it worse or void our warranty, but I don't think we have a warranty after 8 years anyway. So, hopefully we'll get that fixed.
The other thing you probably saw in there is no loitering signs. We had a little weird incident. We've had incidents in the past of kids hanging out in the way dark end of the parking lot down back.
There's this nice inviting set of steps back there. You can just sit and smoke and eat and whenever they
Be kind of out of the view. But last month, in fact, after our meeting, Pam and Michelle went to get the barrels because it was a windy night and they didn't want the trash barrels blowing all over the place. And there were 2 people hanging out on the back step, just talking, which is not wrong necessarily, this is public property, but it was a little bit weird. And it could have been much scarier than it was, depending on who those 2 people were and whether Pam was alone or whatever. So I checked with Debbie Egan, and she said, as long as we're not putting no loitering signs in the garden or we have a bench asking people to sit down, she thought that made sense. There's really no reason for somebody to be hanging out in the dark at the end of the parking lot. I also checked with the police department. They were fine with us getting no loitering signs that say police enforced. They check the building every night. They are willing to shoo somebody along if they find somebody hanging out in the dark corners. So I found a company. It's actually kind of surprising how hard it is to find no loitering signs. But I did a little searching. I found a company that actually makes them in the USA. I was very excited. They are, $8.51 each for an aluminum sign, 12 by 18. I sent an email to them and asked, they had all these options for engineer grade versus high intensity and all this other stuff, which made absolutely no sense to me. They came back and said for our purposes, they're pretty sure engineer grade, which is no additional charge, would suffice. The only thing we really need to talk about, it said, I asked that they had an option for an overlay film. They said basically that is to help if graffiti might be a problem.
I don't think so.
You don't? Because we have had problems with graffiti back there.
What does it cost?
$10. So it would go from 8 to 18.
So that just makes it easier to clean later?
It makes it easier to get the graffiti off, yes.
I think we can handle it.
So that was my only question before I go ahead and get a couple of them.
Is that what we need is 2?
Yeah, Pam and I went back, and that's what we feel that we need. We felt we would put one in the building and one on the shed. If you don't see one or the other of those that are reflective in the dark, then you're intentionally not looking.
Now, after you spoke to the police, did they indicate whether or not they drive to the end of that parking lot?
They did not indicate one way or the other that they drive down there, but I know they do a walk around of all the doors in the building.
That's true.
So I was not concerned about them not checking down that part of the parking lot at all. So,
They checked that door as well.
yeah, I got a
Check
call.
all the doors.
I got a call one night because they inadvertently opened that door because it wasn't shut tight.
And that one locks automatically.
That was a
It
very
wasn't-
weird situation.
It wasn't latched, yeah. But I don't know
So-
how they managed to set the alarm.
I was a little nervous coming down that night. I was glad the police were here.
Okay.
So it's really just a matter of the overlay film if we want to have ease of cleaning.
I mean, is it destroyed if we don't get the film and it gets graffiti on it?
I don't know how one gets graffiti off an aluminum sign offhand. We've only had to take it out of the building and Richard did that.
Well, we just painted over it.
Painted over it, okay.
Yeah.
Is the sign, is it etched or is it painted?
It's stamped, just like a traffic sign, you know, so it's,
It's a
I'll
power
get us a
wash.
picture, hang on.
And were you thinking of mounting them actually on the building and on the shed, not getting a post?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I was thinking of wall mounting, yeah.
So will you make sure that they come with whatever fixtures we need, whatever hardware?
I don't know that they do.
Okay.
Hang on. The other size is 18 by 24, which seemed to tax us.
No.
It's
A little too big.
It's a pretty standard white and red sign, like you would expect to see. So. I can probably get the plastic ones for $1.50, but I can see those getting torn pretty easily. I can go back and ask them, but it's really just 2 screws.
Okay.
So.
Because in the picture, it's attached to a post.
Right, but I think you can put those screws in the wall just as easily. I can go back and ask them again, they were very quick getting back to me. It says pre-punched with radiused corners and 3/8 inch mounting holes. So, it doesn't say anything about giving, actually the hardware's probably gonna depend on what you're putting it onto.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So,
So you just screw it into the wall?
Watch.
Okay.
yeah, the right size screw.
Yeah.
So we're saying no overlay, we'll scrub? Or?
Well, let's do
For
the
10
overlay.
$20,
Let's do the overlay.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
I was gonna say,
I
how
was
much
in
they
favor
weigh,
of
how much
that.
are the signs again?
$8.
So they go from 8 to 18 with the overlay. So,
Well, if they prefer, you would just buy another one for $8, and we'll save $2.
Which way shipping?
How much is this?
I don't know about the shipping, honestly, I didn't even get that far. I did not.
You better
Put them in
attend
my
these
cart.
financial seminars.
It will take us a couple weeks to get these, but, it would help if I actually told them what I wanted. All right.
Meanwhile, can we start, since we're kind of coming near the end, I have a little document here just to pass around. Anna's been working on a spreadsheet with everybody's everything, home, cell, email, and also how you would prefer to be contacted if you need to be contacted. So maybe start down there and just fill in whatever's missing and make a note on what your preference is. And this is just,
This is what I did last time.
Regarding it on the night of planning. meeting.
oh, okay. Oh, Anna was here that night, that's right.
Yeah. How could I check? It's gonna cost another $16 to get it here.
You're getting the floor.
I don't know if that matters. I know it might got messed up because I actually placed the order twice.
$16.
So,
Gosh, why don't we just get a third? Make the shipping worth
Maybe
it.
we'll-
Have an extra backup, I don't know. Unless the shipping goes up.
wait a minute, hang on, let's see if I can get this back down to 2.
If someone defaces one, though, they're liable, they're probably just gonna turn around and deface the other one right after.
Unless they're scolded. If they're found.
Taking its time, so, that's really all we had for this. I'll give you an answer on that once the website catches up with them. So the next thing would be the disaster recovery update.
Wait, before we leave that one,
Yep.
since we're on building grounds, did we mention that someone might want to join? Does,
Oh, you're right,
and
I'm sorry.
Scott is turning in his key, because,
He is definitely considering stepping down.
okay,
I would say we cannot count on him for building and grounds right now.
okay,
So-
Yeah, building the ground right now is John and Scott, so.
yes.
Yeah, it was
It's
David, John, and
essentially John.
Scott, and so,
Should we take a minute to do those subcommittees and see some new members? Can we do that?
okay, it's still $16, it's a few cents less to have on it too. Does anybody wish to volunteer to be on building? Let's start with building and grounds. Is anybody willing to help out with that? John and Pam might be able to address best what that has entailed in the past.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it.
I mean, there's some, well, Scott used to come down and help change the light bulbs when we had Al, because he was just ancient and the ladders were really tall. But aside from the occasional painting of the shed or things like that, there's not a whole lot of physical work, but it's more things like getting quotes from contractors and maybe making recommendations, noticing that the paint is failing.
Oh, speaking of that, that light that's right outside, the outside light outside the children's room is either still out or out again. The outside light.
The first one on the building,
Yeah.
sometimes it is and sometimes it's not.
Oh, must only be one of them.
Yeah, no, because I have noticed that it's out, and then I've noticed that it's on, and thought, oh, that's strange.
Is it on like a motion or a light sense?
Well, they're all on a timer and a photo sensitive.
Okay. Okay, so it's photosensitive, maybe it needs to be cleaned.
Well, there's one for the whole building.
Oh, for the whole
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
All right. Phil has volunteered for building and grounds. Again, I'm gonna, in the interest of time, I'm gonna put up, people would consider what committees they were willing to be on until November. I think we're all set right now. We got planning done, so. Thank you, Phil. Disaster recovery, Erin, do you have anything you want to add?
So at this point, I'm actually in it right now, I'm on the D plan, entering some information. It's really a wonderful tool, the ability to go in and kind of enter items as you gather them, which is helpful. So what I was planning on doing is at each meeting, maybe bringing up for discussion and or providing to Pam to maybe gather some additional information, and just slowly but surely get it put together. The one thing I want to just touch base on, this is really just a question for Pam, but staff members, because one of the initial things that you need to do is identify individuals who are willing and able to be part of the pool to be selected to be on the disaster plan team or the disaster team. So like if there was a disaster, they would be selected to, coordinate or have some sort of responsibility in part of the process. So I don't know if you had a chance to talk to staff.
We have a staff meeting next week.
So that's fine, so we can talk about that in November, and I'll add that in, because before we had a couple of staff members, but I don't even know if that was ever discussed before, I just kind of threw in some names, I think. But I don't want to do that, because I want to make sure that they're willing and able to do that. So what I have in there so far is all of us, and starting to gather what we have for materials, what our security system is, HVAC, like electricity, the thing I wanted to bring up, and maybe Janet, you might have some insight into a possible command center. And I don't know if this is something that the town has discussed at any level as far as a site to go to, a safe site. I know when Katrina happened, libraries became a safe site, but if it's the library that's been compromised, we're in the process of, at that point in time, we've prioritized which collections, to get first and that sort of thing, but where do we go with it?
Okay, I will find out, I'll take that as an action item.
Okay. Talks about having that be and this is straight from the D plan, a base of operations, so we can list several locations, and there's 3 responses here, so we can have a couple of alternatives. Clearly, you think about if it's something, if an earthquake hit a certain section, you probably want to have something close by, but also something far enough away that we're away from whatever disaster occurred. So I don't know what the town has in place for that.
Yeah. I mean, you think of town hall, but it's right
right
next
there.
door, yeah.
So do we go to another town? Do we just go to the other side of Route 1? I'm not sure. So in the process, I'm doing my own, or trying to find time and do my own research to find out what we have in our state available for resources and what other libraries are doing. So one of the things that Pam mentioned was to contact, you've heard of his name? Gregor. He actually, Pam and I went to a disaster planning recovery session, and he was the, I guess, the moderator.
He works for the Board of Library Commissioners, and he's the Preservation and Disaster Recovery Specialist.
So he would be a good contact.
Would local armories be open if there was some kind of disaster going on?
I guess it depends on the
You know,
type of disaster.
You could ask a lot of these questions to Jim Broderick too. He's the REMA, Raleigh Emergency Management Agency person. I'm sure he would help with this.
Okay. So it's underway.
Michelle, you're the personnel type committee. Okay, that's, just trying to update what I remember who's on that committee. The committees quickly just are sort of obviously outreach. Oh, look at you, I have that somewhere. Performance and compensation, which there's only, oh, Erin, you're on that one too.
Mhm.
Okay, so that one's more or less covered, but if anybody wants to be on it, new members always welcome. So it's performance and compensation, building and grounds, outreach and special events, which actually Michelle, is down to Michelle and John right now. So if that's another one that people are interested in.
I have Erin there. Erin, did you
Oh, yeah,
volunteer for
Erin,
that
sorry.
last?
Oh, did she sign up on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Long-range planning and oversight, policy and procedure manual, which I think you said you'd help with that one too,
Mhm.
right? That one was me and Henry, which obviously goes back a really long time. Disaster planning, which is right now Aaron, Jacob, and myself. Budget, which is Jake right now. Oh, and Phil.
Jacob
Sorry,
and
Phil,
Phil.
you're on that one too.
And then the bishop.
And the bishop request, which is kind of,
Both kind of.
it's done now because we determined that, so.
We might discuss that again in the future.
Okay, so I'll leave it on here. I know that there were other things like library materials, equipment, excuse me, library equipment that was part of that request stipulation. That one currently is Jake and Phil. So think about that. None of them take up a huge amount of time, honestly. From time to time, they pick up, but somebody want to report on the October Friends meeting? I was not there, unfortunately.
They found a place for the chili cook-off, I believe. Nancy was going to go the next day to Governor's Academy, which had a room that could hold the chili cook-off, and I haven't heard how that meeting went.
I did hear something that
Did it
does
go
seem
well?
like, yeah, that it went well.
Okay.
But just the timing not being in the fall, but
Right.
I want to say March.
It would have to be, because they let nonprofits use the room, however, only when school is not in session, so it would be around St. Patrick's Day, but trying to stay away from St. Patrick's Day. And,
I think March 21st or 22nd was the ideal date.
yeah, and I'm trying to think what else they talked about. They're hoping to do a corporate appeal,
Your basket.
and there's gonna be a basket raffle in December. I think there's did I miss anything? I think that was it.
This is something that's not on our agenda, so we can't really go over it tonight, but I'll try to remember to put it on the agenda for next month. There is a Massachusetts Library Trustee Association, for which paid membership is required. There is actually a discount if the entire board joins. So I don't know if that's something that, is it something that we would have to pay for out of pocket, or could we use discretionary funds for that?
No, there's a line for memberships.
Okay, so it's something that you know, it's obviously gonna mean a few more newsletters for you, email and such. I'll hand this around if you wanna look at it quickly, so we should consider that. For next month, whether we want to opt to join us all up on that. That's pretty much it for our
Yeah.
agenda. Review of action items. Erin, correct me if I'm missing anything. Pam will send links to other library sites. I don't know if Jake's on it. But, no. Did you see it? Okay. Pam will send links to other library sites and find out the name of the consultant used by Groveland, right? And also possibly talk to Rick Hydron, whose name is spelled incorrectly. Buildings and grounds, we'll look for some quotations on painting the library trim and/or siding, probably next summer, spring, summer. I mean, to have the painting done, spring, summer. Everybody will brainstorm ideas for a library tagline and logo. Ham will look for flag and bunting, an open flag specifically in bunting in the spring. And we'll call PRS about a laptop and a server. Eve and Michelle will work together to draft a policy for the circulation of the ebooks once we have them. I will find out if there is a safe center for our disaster plan. Did I miss anything?
I will draft thank you letters to Rob, David, and Joe. And I also have that, maybe we don't need this, but we're gonna determine how to best reorganize the DVD shelving. So we, and I don't know if this is an undertaking that needs to be referenced, but surveying the VHS.
Yeah, I have a note to run a
Okay.
report on VHS circulation. I have a few other last
All right. Should I eliminate that?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Do people borrow them now?
Occasionally.
I think I've checked.
Well,
them out.
you know,
I still have the VCR.
I should
have
say
all the kids'
daily.
tapes.
Yeah,
Really?
daily, yeah.
I sent one out this morning on the list. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I'm probably taking half a dozen a day.
All right. It is 9:25.
I motion to adjourn.
All right, second? Somebody? I can.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Oh,
Thank you, everybody.
So next